I now want to talk about setting goals. Let me give you a few ideas about goal setting. It became terribly helpful for me. My income changed from a few hundred a month to a few thousand a month in a matter of months. By setting goals, making designs, plans, putting it together. We've already set goals, only we just haven't done it really thoughtfully and carefully and with plan and with intent and with deliberation and consistently. We didn't use it as a plan. We just sort of did it by instinct or by sight or something grabbed our attention and we just worked hard and got it. And now I want you to work on goals deliberately, thoughtfully, with preparation. We're primarily affected by 5 things, and here they are. First, we're affected by the environment, where we live, the community, and the traffic and the weather and the smog. We're all affected by environment. The people around us, what's happening, what's going on. We're all affected by that. Second, we're affected by events, whether they're personal things or community things, national things. Third, we're affected by knowledge. Whatever you've learned up until now affects you. The books you've read, the experience you've come into possession of, the awareness you've accumulated up until now in your life certainly affects you. Next, we're affected by results, whatever results, accomplishments, or failures of the past. All those affect us. And fifth, we're affected by our view of the future. Now, of all of these 5 things I've mentioned, in my opinion, here's the best way to live the good life. Make sure the greatest pull on your life is the pull of the future. Make sure that exerts its greatest influence on you, the influence of the future. Now, see, some people are mostly affected by the environment. They're mostly affected by their associations. They're mostly affected by what's going on around them. Some people are affected by the past, the failures, what they haven't done, what they haven't got, or some tragedy. They've let that take the greatest toll and make the greatest claim on their lives. But if you really want to live what's known as the good life, make sure the future has the greatest influence on you. Now, there's 2 ways to face the future. One is with apprehension, being afraid of the future, being uncertain. The what if this happens game I used to play. It is not that difficult to be apprehensive about tomorrow, about next week, next month, next year, the future. Here's another way to face the future, with anticipation, rather than dread the future. See, that can alter your whole life. The past is quickly receding and the future is quickly coming. So we're all concerned right away with the future, right? The next future couple of hours, the next future couple of days, the next future couple of years. That's the future. Now, the best way to anticipate the future is to make sure that a big share of it for your life is well designed. It looks like humans are figuring out better ways to do things. We anticipate the coming explosion in electronics and all of the things that are being invented for our safety and comfort and productivity. We can anticipate, conquering some diseases, finding a cure for cancer. But for your own personal life, the way to anticipate the future is to design it well. We primarily proceed based on how we feel. Part of it is intellect, but the biggest part of it is emotion, how you feel. How you feel determines whether you read or don't read. Reading is not really a skill problem. Most of you knew how to read. So whether you read or not is not really a skill problem. It's an attitude problem. You can decide to be happy or sad. That's attitude. How you react to a certain situation is primarily attitude. You can either care or not care. You can listen or not listen. You can go or not go. You can be there or not be there. You can decide or not decide. So attitude is the determining factor. So attitude determines our potential, how much potential we tap. Guess how much capacity we have? I mean, we're just now beginning to understand the mental, emotional, human capacity. In one of the old world sayings, it says, we get too soon old and too late smart. Now, it isn't that we couldn't be smarter, but it just seems as though life is so brief, we just don't really have a chance to tap in on all of our mental and emotional and awareness capacity. Some people want to know, how little can I do and how much can I get? The question was, how little can we do and how much can we get? Everything has 4 parts. 1 is cause. 2 is effect. 3 is direction, and 4 is destination. See, the philosophy that says we want to work less and less and less and earn more and more and more puts us on a certain direction. Now, the ultimate end of the philosophy is, can we finally not do anything and get it all? Now, the people who go for that philosophy usually say, no, we don't want to take you that far down the road, because that would be bankruptcy for all of us. Well, now the next question is, how far down that road do you want to take us? See, there's always a danger point going down one road too far, because sometimes when momentum is created, demise is soon. You cross the line of no return once you go too far. So you've always got to be careful of your philosophical approach to make sure the direction you're going and the ultimate destination. Because one of the major questions to ask is, 10 years from now, you will surely arrive. The question is, where? Where are you headed with your current reading schedule? Where are you headed with your current philosophical position? Where are you headed with your current attitude toward the potential you tap from your own abilities and the action plan you have? What we all want to make sure is that what we're doing is taking us in the direction we want to go and will cause us to arrive where we want to arrive. Now's the time to fix the next 10 years. Now's the time to come to some better philosophical conclusions. Life is sort of like riding a bicycle. You either got to get on or get off. Get going or get off. You just can't hang in there, right? We're either climbing or sliding. We're growing or dying. And how we feel in the cycle of events that are happening in our lives is usually either taking us up or taking us down. Now, if we're going down, we got to step in here somewhere and change all this. Now, question. To change the cycle of what is happening in your life, where do you step in to change this whole process? Attitude. We only proceed from how we feel. Humans have the incredible ability to finish the future before they start it. Is it possible to finish something before you start it? Of course, humans have this unique ability. It's like building a house. So you don't start building your house till you have it finished. We finish it by plan. We finish it by design. Goals can become like a magnet. What you want now is the pull of the future. Two things we all need in order to do well. Number one, ideas. Here's what else you need for success. It's called inspiration. And ideas are not really that difficult to come by. A new idea is just as close as the next book you open. It's just as close as striding into the library, the bookstore, or attending the next class, or meeting the next person that might have some experience beyond yours, and out of conversation comes some good ideas. So ideas are not that difficult to come by, but we do need ideas to change our lives. Mr. Shove taught me that there wasn't any problem I couldn't solve without a good idea. I used to think money was one of my problems, and he said, no, money's not a problem. Now, up until then, I always thought it was. He said, the only problem is the lack of an idea on how to create money, how to create wealth, how to give service, how to earn money. So it's not the lack of money that's the problem, it's the lack of an idea. So ideas can change your life. But here's what else you need for success. It's called inspiration. The people who seem to stay totally turned on, all excited about life. They have no problem getting up and generating that zest for the day, emotional vitality. They're excited about living, excited about working, they're excited about accomplishing. And I guess that's what all of us wish for, that kind of inspiration. That's a good question. Why are some people incredibly turned on about life and other people find it hard to get going? I don't know. Part of that's a mystery to me. But we do need inspiration, something that drives us. One of my wealthy friends, we asked him one time what drove him to become wealthy, and he said, malnutrition. So I guess that's what you start with, right? Just absolute bare bones necessity will inspire you somewhat to get out there and get the job done. But then if you could find something that would really turn you on, something that really got you going, that's what life is really all about. If you can find something that gives you that incredible high energy zest for living, go for your dreams. It's a good idea every once in a while to just stir our mental pot, get the ideas flowing, get the thinking flowing, get to looking and asking questions and doing some wondering. It's one thing to get excited and to respond and say, I want to do well, I'm going to change my life. Now the big question is, how do you do it? One good question to ask is, why are you here? All you need is just a bit more inspiration and a few more ideas and away you go. Maybe just one or two more turns and you'll have it going your way. First of all, I think we ought to realize where we already are. It seems like better things come to us when, first of all, we're thankful for what we have. And I would say, for the most part, we're all doing fairly well, at least compared to the rest of the world. The rest of the world are probably struggling a lot harder than we are, would find it strange that we're trying to figure out how to do better. But we do have the chance to do well. We have the chance not only to do well for ourselves, but we have the chance to be an influence and to develop leadership for the people we come in contact with. So we do have a chance to do better. And I think when you have the chance, you ought to take it. So, first of all, realize where we are. Second, be thankful for what we already have. Who was it said, I complained about not having any shoes until I met someone who had no feet. So, we should be thankful for what we already have. No matter how much you already know, how wealthy you are, there's always a chance you could probably learn something else or appreciate someone else's point of view. Sure enough, somebody says, did you ever look at it from over here? And you step over there and take a look at it. And sure enough, they've got a unique view of something that maybe you haven't considered it from that viewpoint before. So be eager to learn. You don't have to buy everything any one person says. Just take in the information, digest it thoroughly, think about it sincerely, go through it meticulously, and then do whatever you wish to with it. You know, be independent. Don't be a follower. Be a student. Try your best to be a good listener. And sometimes it's not that easy to listen. There's all kinds of voices, right, trying to get our attention. Let me give you 4 key words to be aware of. When you speak, you want to speak from something that's there. Here's the first one. Develop an interest. The first word is interest. Develop an interest in 2 primary things, life and people. If you're interested in life, see, right away, daily, weekly, monthly, you're going to be gathering up information and impressions and awareness, more so than someone who is not that interested. Most people want to make it, but they don't have that interest, that keen interest in what's going on around them. So the 2 things to be interested in is life and people. Make a study of those. Make sure you're entering something in your journal constantly about life and about people, business life and social life, what's happening around you. It's called gathering so that you can use it for future conversations. What I like to always do is develop a mental tick list, things to remember as you proceed through the day. Now, at first, when you develop a little mental tick list of things to remember, sometimes it's a little awkward, right? It's like learning to play the piano. My teacher said, here's the right-hand scales. So I got those, no problem. Then my teacher says, now we're going to run the left-hand scales. I got those, no problem. Then I remember the day when she said, we're going to play both hands together. I thought, now that'll be tricky. How could you do them both together? And I remember looking at one, looking at the other, but finally, right, I got to where I could play both hands together. Then I remember the day she said, now, we're going to read the music, play both hands. I thought, wow, how would you do that, right? And I'm looking at the music, looking at my hands, but finally I got that going. Then I remember the day she said, now, we're going to watch the audience, read the music, play both hands. I thought, now, how could you possibly do that? But sure enough, I finally got to where I could watch the audience, read the music, and play both hands. After a while. At first, it was a little awkward, but after a while, I finally got those, right? Here's what I want to give you. It's a little mental tick list to remember. And at first, it may seem a little awkward to try to remember these 4 things in gathering information for future conversations, communication, but just try. And then finally, it'll come naturally. So the first word is interest. Be interested enough to find ideas to put in your journal. Be interested enough to look around. Keep your eyes open. What's going on? Be alert. Don't miss anything. Okay, here's the second word for good communication, and that is fascination. Fascination goes a little bit beyond interest. Fascination means you take a second look. Fascination means you're just not interested in just surface information. You want to know what's behind it. What does it really mean? So if you really want to develop this reservoir of information for future conversations, you've got to be fascinated with life, fascinated with stories, fascinated with human behavior. Why do people act like they act? Why do they do what they do? Now also be interested and fascinated with your own life. How come I act like I act? Why do I always do this? Why do I feel this way? Here's the third word, sensitivity. Develop a sensitivity to life and people. Let what's happening during the day touch you. Let it affect you. Develop a sensitivity to both tragedy and success, both the highs and the lows of life. A sensitivity to people's feelings, a sensitivity to the complexity of life as well as the simplicity of life, how people are different and yet so much the same. A sensitivity to people's beliefs, the way they look at things. Here's a good phrase, let life touch you. Don't let it kill you, but let it touch you. Be sensitive. When Judy and I were married, I'll never forget, we got back from Europe. One time we were staying at the Waldorf Astoria in New York. It was about Christmas time, I don't know, the 20th of December, something like that. And we decided to rent a car and drive out to Long Island. Judy had never been to Long Island. And on the way out to Long Island, Judy had never been to Harlem. I will never forget the look on Judy's face as we drove through Harlem. Incredible. It was the 20th of December, but in Harlem there was not one sign of Christmas. There was not one light, Christmas light. There was not one Christmas tree. There was not one wreath on any door, no sign of Christmas in Harlem on the 20th of December. And yet a few blocks away on Fifth Avenue and Park Avenue in New York, there's the big blazing Christmas tree, and the ice skaters are skating, and the shops are full of clothes, and the shoppers are shopping, and there's this feeling of wealth and affluence, and a few blocks away is Harlem. Incredible. Judy talked about that experience for a long time after that, the impact it made on her, and the incredible contrast in people's lives, from the wealthy to the poor, from the advantaged to the disadvantaged. It really affected her. But see, you want to be affected by life. Let it touch you. Let it reach you. When I lived in Northern California, 2 or 3 times a year, I would go to San Francisco, the Tenderloin district, down at what's known as the bottom of the world. Just go spend a day and see what it's like on the other side of life. Walk the streets where the lonely walk and talk to them. Find out their stories. Go eat where they eat. It's an incredible experience. Because I was raised fairly well, I've never had any tragedy in my life, so I really don't know what it's like. But it's good to have a view and a look. You don't have to go live in poverty, but you got to be aware of it. You got to know about it. You got to be sensitive to it. Man, I got to know there Frank. Frank runs a bar in the Tenderloin. Frank sees more tragedy in a week than most people see in a lifetime. Incredible. I'm visiting with him there one day. He said, Jim, see that lady sitting over there at the bar? I said, yes. He said, that's Cookie. He said, how old do you think she is? I said, I don't know. She looks about 45. He said, she's 25. I said, wow. Cookie used to be a go-go dancer. She developed some kind of bone disease, had all these operations, and she can hardly walk. And he said, Cookie comes in here 3 or 4 times a week and sits right there. And she's also got a little boy, 5 years old. He's dying of leukemia. And said Cookie comes here and drinks till she can't drink anymore, and usually I have to call a cab and have somebody come take her home. The story really got to me. I used to go by after that every once in a while and put some money in an envelope and her name on it and leave it for her to come by and get. The story got me. We've all got to be sensitive to that. We've got to let it affect us. As you let all of life affect you, so it affects your conversation, so it affects your communication. So people have this incredible sense that there's a great deal about you and your sensitivity and your interest and your fascination with life that makes life uniquely worthwhile for you. And I'll tell you what, it'll show up in your conversation. It'll show up in your feelings. It'll show up in your ability to reach people. Sensitivity. Don't be afraid of it. Use it. Develop it. Now here's the 4th word, knowledge. Develop a working knowledge. I've added one more word there. Working knowledge of life and people. A systematic way of gathering up all the information that comes your way and try to put it into some workable form. That's why we suggest a journal. You just got to have a daily journal to record the ideas and the impressions and the feelings and the things that come your way. Now, if you'll work on those 4 words and be consciously aware that you're working on knowledge, sensitivity, fascination, and interest about life and people in a deliberate way, a daily way, a consistent way, so that when you get ready to talk, there'll be all this substance there waiting to back up whatever you have to say. Here's a good phrase, let what you say be the tip of the iceberg of all you know, and all that you feel, and all that you're aware of. Let what you say only be a small portion of all you know and feel. 4 key words to be aware of. Develop an interest. The first word is interest. Okay, here's the 2nd word for good communication, and that is fascination. Here's the 3rd word, sensitivity. Now here's the 4th word, knowledge. Develop a working knowledge. One of the most important studies to study is the law of averages. And the reason is because everybody's affected by it. This side of the world, the other side of the world. Business is affected by it, social, personal, people, religious, doesn't matter what it is. We're all affected by the law of averages. So it's a good one to understand how it works, what's going on, so you're not disappointed and tipped over and upset. See, once you find out the truth, there's a Bible phrase that says, the truth sets you free. And it sets you free from animosity. It sets you free from being tipped over and bent out of shape. Okay? Liars lie. Cheaters cheat. Thieves steal. And you can say they shouldn't, but that's called idle conversation. Understand how it is. It's just like it is. Once you understand that that's how it is, see, now that takes you off the hook from being bent out of shape, disappointed, frustrated, angry, you don't understand, you're all confused. See, once you know, then it just takes away all the confusion and the misunderstanding and the misreading. One of the best things is to take the simple approach. The guy says to me, well, this is happening to me, and this is happening to me, and this is happening to me. I do this, and then this happens, and then this goes wrong, and then this happens. How come all these things happen to me? I'm trying my best. I say, sir, I really don't know. The best experience I've got over the last 25 years especially is those kind of things always happen to people like you. What you've got to consider is if you wish for it to change, you must consider that perhaps you should change. See, if this is happening to me, maybe it's because it's the person I am. Now, some things are accidents, I understand that. But some things are attracted. You've just got to make sure that it wasn't just accident, that maybe you're becoming that kind of cynical person. Maybe unhappiness is attracting unhappiness. Overdue sadness is attracting sadness. Maybe confusion attracts confusion. And it's true, whatever we are attracts. So we must take a look and see where we are. But the law of averages is unique. Here's what the law of averages says. If you do something often enough, you will get a ratio of results. A ratio. Everything has ratios. Now, what do we mean by ratios? Well, it concerns anything. Let's say you just joined a new company and you're out selling some new product. And you talk to 10 people. You're just brand new. You talk to 10 people. Say, I got this neat product. And you present it to 10 people. 9 say no. And 1 says yes. Now, already you've got your ratio going. And we call it 1 out of 10. No matter what you do, if you do it continuously for a while, you'll get a ratio. Some kind of ratio. In baseball, what do we call it? Batting average. See, if somebody's pitching, you're up there swinging, sure enough, now even if you're an amateur, if you keep swinging, you'll get one. The ball will hit your bat. But a ratio starts to develop. Here's an interesting question about the ratio. Who will this ratio work for? See, anybody can get a ratio started. Well, at first you don't worry about doing well. At first you get a ratio going so that you can look at it and analyze it and see what's happening. This is why your journal is so important. At the end of the day, make a list of your progress. Here's what I did and here's what happened. So that you can go back over it and start analyzing it. So you can see what to fix and what to get on that's good and what to get off that's bad. Here's the next rule for the law of averages. The ratios. Once a ratio starts, it tends to continue. If you're just getting started, you talk to 10, 9 say no, 1 says yes. Here's what's exciting. Chances excellent, if you talk to 10 more, you get another one. It's uncanny. I don't even know how it works. All I know is it works. And see, now you can start to compete. And that's one of the next best incentives is competition. So get your ratios going so you can compete. Now see, if I joined your company and I just got started and you're so good you can get 9 out of 10. And I just started and I can only get 1 out of 10 because I just got there. If we have a contest for 30 days on sales, I will win. See, it's very simple. Since you're so good, you can get 9 out of 10, and the contest goes 30 days. While you're talking to 10 and getting 9, I will talk to 100 and get 10. So that when the month is over, you've got 9, I've got 10. I win. And that's one of my objectives, is to win. Now I have another objective, for you to lose, because you learn a great deal by losing. Competition, learning how to compete. Once you understand the law of averages, you can make up for in numbers what you first lack in skill. Now here's the next key on the law of averages, for the ratios. The ratio can be increased. Isn't that unique? You talk to 10, get 1. Talk to 10 more, get 1. Talk to 10 more, you get another one. Talk to 10 more, you get 2. Why would about the 4th time you talk to 10, you get 2 instead of 1? You're getting better. Key question. Who can get better? Anyone who tries. What's exciting to know is that capacity meeting opportunity can yield the most incredible results. And you have all the capacity that's necessary and you're surrounded by opportunity. I mean, you lack nothing from where you sit to create enterprise and wealth and fortune, lifestyle, all the uniqueness you want. Being surrounded by opportunity and having unlimited capacity. I mean, what else would you ask for? Earn the money you want to earn. Get your life turned around. Who knows what'll happen? Now, you're going to be disappointed. Let me put this in here. When this doesn't work out, just as you've planned, you're going to be disappointed. Learn to discipline your disappointment. That's very important. Be disappointed, but don't let it kill you. And don't let it stack up. Just understand, that's the way it is. Good people are not trained, they're found. The law of averages, the ratios. Where do they work? Everywhere. Who for? Everybody. Now, what you must do is understand the ratios, right? It's learning what to do and how to find the right people. See, that's major, the law of averages. I'm telling you, it'll save you a lot of heartache, it'll save you a lot of mistakes and a lot of errors and a lot of wondering and a lot of pondering, sleepless nights, agony. I mean, it just cures a whole lot of things once you understand the law of averages. If you do something often enough, you will get a ratio of results. How to affect other people with words. Major challenge. To get your ideas across, to get people to understand what you're trying to say, get them to understand how you feel. And at first, words are a bit clumsy when it comes to trying to express an emotion or an idea or a feeling, but if you'll practice it, and especially if you know the components of good communication, it'll really start to help. How to make it clear. First of all, we communicate for two primary reasons, and here they are. Number one, we communicate just to get along. You can't even function in the barest minimums without some kind of communication. If you want the bread, you have to learn to ask for it. The barest of communication. So that's number one. Here's number two. We communicate to accomplish some purpose, a specific purpose. Now, communication starts from somewhere, and for you, communication starts with you. Good phrase to remember. Your world begins with you. This is not to be self-centered, but your world is around you, your own consciousness and your own awareness. And so for things to work well, first of all, it's got to work well with you. Part of my training in getting me turned around, headed in the right direction, when I first met Mr. Schoaf, the man who helped to formulate the ideas that helped to change my business and social and personal life, was for me to understand that the biggest changes that was going to have to be made in my future were going to have to be made personal. I kept hoping the weather would change and the government would change and prices would change and my neighbors would change and the people would change and my friends would change and that the economy would change and that the country's direction would change. I kept waiting for change all around. And then he's the one who taught me. What changes your world is not wishing for change. What changes your world is changing. You've got to change. And sure enough, As a Man Thinketh, a book by James Allen, there's a little phrase in there that says, humans are rather strange. We curse the effect and nourish the cause. We want it to change, but we don't want to change. Interesting. The guy puts sand in his shoes and he can hardly walk. And you say, well, how can you walk with that sand in your shoes? The guy says, I can hardly walk. You say, well, why do you do that? I said, I don't know. I've just been doing it for years. The guy puts tacks in his bed and he can hardly sleep. You say, well, how can you sleep with all those tacks in your bed? The guy says, I can hardly sleep. You say, well, why would you do that? He said, I don't know. It's been in the family for years. I mean, we just do things like that. Interesting. Why we would wish for it to change, hoping it will change, but resisting change. Now, once you understand that all of it starts with you, now you can start making some incredible progress. And good communication with you, for you, that happens to you, great majority of it starts with you. Now, here's a good phrase to remember. You cannot speak that which you do not know. First of all, you've got to have it before you can speak it, before you can share it. So good communication starts with an awareness that, first of all, to get a good communication going with anybody, it's got to start with some substance on your part. Now, how to consciously grow and build the substance from where communication comes from, that is the key. It's like, first of all, making deposits. You can't withdraw anything till you put something in. We all need to be consciously aware every day of gathering up the ideas, the inspiration, the feelings that we're going to use for future communication. Future meaning maybe in the next 5 minutes, but maybe the next 5 days, 5 weeks, 5 months, 5 years. Consciously aware. It is not that difficult for the years to pass and to not be conscious of what's happening in the way of demands or what's going to come in the way of opportunity for you, and just drift along and not be much further ahead a year from now than you are right now, simply because you just let the days pass. But if you have a conscious awareness of what it takes to effectively affect other people, to get your ideas across, to get decisions, to express your feelings and your opinions, once you do that deliberately and consciously and daily and consistently, now that's what starts your own personal development. Now, leadership should understand the 20%, 80% rule. And the 20%, 80% rule, I don't know exactly where it came from, but if you're going to be involved with people any amount of time or any number of people from whatever walks of life, you've got to understand what we call the 20%, 80% rule. 20% of the people do 80% of the business, and 80% of the people do 20%. It's just one of those strange things about life, whether it's a business or a club or whatever. Sure enough, 20% of the people do 80%, 80% do 20%. It's just one of those interesting statistics about life. Now, once you understand the 20%, 80% rule, here's what you must learn to do as a leader. Don't try to change it. This is not something you change. This is something you work with. See, there's a lot of things in life you don't change. You don't say, I think I'll take fall and put it after winter. See, that's too difficult. You don't change fall around and put it after winter. You leave it where it is, but you learn to work with it like it is. The best beginning for any successful venture is reality. Let's figure out how it really is. Okay, so we take the 20%, 80% rule like it is, and we learn to work with it. Now here's some of the key points in understanding the 20%, 80% rule. If you wish to affect your business 80%, you must work with the 20%. It's just one of those things you just learn to work with. To affect your business 80%, you work with the 20% that are creating 80% of the business. The pull is in the opposite direction, and it always is. Here's what success is. Success is learning to move in the opposite direction of the normal negative pull. Success is just overcoming the normal negative downward trend. Because I guess that's what life was meant to be. Overcoming the normal negative downward pull. Success is moving in the opposite direction. Life that springs from the seed really is moving in the opposite direction. Gravity wants to pull the seed down, but sure enough, the seed being pulled down by the soil comes to life, takes root, starts to grow, and which way does it grow? Up. It pushes its way against gravity. It moves up, and that's what success is, that's what life is, of movement in the opposite direction. So, guess who wants 80% of your attention? The wrong percentage. The 80% of whatever enterprise you're working with, if you got a group of people going, 80% of them want 80% of your time. They say, well, we're the 80%. But see, you've got to learn to resist that. Now, you do it diplomatically, you do it with intelligence, but if you want to be successful, you got to do it. You've got to give 80% of your time to the 20% and 20% of your time to the 80%. Here's what I learned to do with the 20%, 80% rule. I learned to give the 20% individual time and the 80% group time. Say, well, these 80% are only producing 20% of the business. So I've got to figure out a way to talk to them by groups. Now I can talk to an individual that's doing the high production, but I can only talk to the groups in these collection of people that are doing the small production. Now guess who wants your individual time? The wrong percentage. What you got to do is just diplomatically move in the opposite direction. Now this is not something you fight, it's something you work with. Guy says, oh, I got it made, here's what I will do. I'll just eliminate the 80%, right? They're only getting 20% of the business anyway. I'll just get rid of them. And I'll just keep the 20%. Well, you can do that, but here's what will happen pretty soon. The people that you've got left after you have fired the 80%, sure enough, 20% of them will be doing 80% of the business, and 80% will be doing 20%. This is like the seasons. This is not something you try to rearrange. Now, every leader must have some listening time to what's going on in the field, what's happening with the people. Here's what you must do with your listening time. You must give 80% of your listening time to the 20%, and 20% of your listening time to the 80%. Now, guess who wants 80% of your listening time? The wrong percentage. So you just have to learn to be diplomatic. It's incredible. What you do is just learn to capitalize on the way things are. To create the market, most people buy when it's high and sell when it's low. That's normal. That's the normal scare. That's the normal being uneasy. Buy when it's high, sell when it's low. Guess who becomes wealthy? The people who move in the opposite direction. Now that takes tremendous strength of will and capacity and knowledge. And it doesn't mean you hit it every time, but it does mean your chances are much better to buy when it's low and sell when it's high. Right? That's what success is. Success is moving in the opposite of the normal negative downward pull. But what's unique about human enterprise is unique things can be accomplished by understanding the world setup, understanding how people are, and learning how to work with it and not against it. The ability to share. And sharing now can become a major part of your life process and life progress. Sharing is a unique human capacity. Everybody has the ability to share. How much you share, of course, is a matter of attitude and the personal conclusions you've come to about your life and what to do about it. But sharing is unique. Here's what's unique about sharing. The more you give, the more you become. It's one of the paradoxes of life. You give away, but you become bigger. It would look like if you would share, you'd become less, but see, that's not true. It's one of those unique life processes. It's like one of those questions you ask when you have your first child. You love it dearly. You say, well, if I have another child, do I have to divide my love in half? And the answer is surprisingly no. From somewhere comes this unbelievable capacity to love the other one as much as you did the first one. What if you have 3, 4, 5 children? Now, are each one of them going to get less and less and less, the capacity of your ability to love and care? And the answer is, strangely, no. As the demand and the opportunity increases, it seems as though your capacity grows. And what you give away seems to multiply. It's one of the mysteries and the uniqueness of life. So sharing makes you bigger. Now here's one of the reasons to share. Share on purpose so that you become bigger, not only for the effect that it will have on other people, but for the effect it will have on you. See, what we want to learn to be is intelligently selfish. The golden rule is a way to be intelligently selfish. The golden rule says, if you want this big flow coming from lots of people, nothing wrong with that. But if you want this big flow coming from lots of people, here's what you must do. Here's the formula. This big flow of awareness and love and profit and uniqueness coming from lots of people, that's a bit selfish, but it says, the golden rule says, here's how you get it. Do for others. See, that's how you get this big flow coming your way. And the more you do for more, the bigger the flow. That's called how to be intelligently selfish. The guy says, well, about the best I can do is take care of myself. Well, that's a poor man talking. Always will be poor. Poor in spirit and poor in money and poor every other way. If you just take care of yourself, you will be limited in every respect. The master teacher said, here's the key to wealth and fortune. He who wishes to be great, whether it's in wealth or awareness or uniqueness or response or results, here's the key to wealth, master teacher said. Find a way to become a servant of many. That's the key to greatness. Finding a way to become a servant of many. See, the best way to cure your own bills is to be concerned about other people's bills. If you worry about yours, it'll be hard to pay. Worry about others, it'll be easy to pay. See, when you get concerned for other people, what can I do to help you and help you and help you and help you? The more people I help, the more return I get, even if it's only a small percentage. People say, well, I'm grateful here. Thanks for helping me here. You just can't believe. One of my friends went to another one of our mutual wealthy friends and said, I've got a project. If I put this project together and it creates $4 million for you, will you give me one? Guess what he said? Yes. If you put this together and it creates for me $4 million, I'll be happy to give you one. I'll be satisfied with 3. See, that's part of the unique life process. If you help other people, guess what they will do? Share back with you. It's one of those inevitables. See, if you will share, no telling what will come back your way if you'll share. Be concerned about helping somebody else with their language and help them with their lifestyle and help them with their philosophical conclusions. Help them with learning better the taste of life and the uniqueness of life. Help them with their financial plan. Ask a few questions. What all of us want to do in consciousness and awareness is become bigger. Now, see, some people are so small in their thinking and their awareness, you could pour happiness all around them. They're not going to get any. They're too little in their thinking and their awareness and their acceptance. It doesn't matter how much happiness is available. They're not going to get very much. And you're not going to get very much happiness out of the next experience if you don't grow, if you don't expand. And one of the best ways to expand in your consciousness is by sharing. Touch somebody else's life. Touch somebody else's experience. Give somebody else some information. Pass along a book or a recommendation or, share what you've got. And sure enough, your capacity grows and grows and grows. Now when joy is passed out, you get 3 times as much as you used to. And somebody wonders, how come you're happier now this year than you were last year? And it's simply because you're growing. Happiness is always available, but you can only have what you can hold. Prosperity is always available, but you can only keep what you can hold. So what you want to do is create this capacity, this awareness, this growth experience, so that when joy and happiness and prosperity and unique things are passed out, you get to hold more. Now, you must also understand that you can also hold more sadness. But sadness is a life experience. You can hold more disappointment, but disappointment is a life experience. But see, now with the depths of awareness and understanding, you hold it and it becomes not bitter, but it becomes commodity. It becomes experience. It becomes valuable. So that when you talk to the next person that's going through some difficult times, you can reach them with your experience because you've been there. You've tasted it. So we all want to grow in our awareness and taste and capacity. Sharing. Now, there's a lot of things to share. Share your money, share your time, share your knowledge, share your feelings. Don't be afraid to share those. That kind of sharing has incredible value. And people who share with us, see what great value that is. Just the words and the actions and the sharing and the capacity. See, that's what fills your cup. That's what gives you this incredible uniqueness of living, knowing what it's like to be human in all respects. People who share, incredible. Then one of the most important things to share is your philosophy. Your perception of life is bound to help somebody. If you show somebody your viewpoint, your vantage point, sure enough, it's going to be revealing to somebody else. You say, here's what I've been thinking about life and about activity and about money and about commerce and about lifestyle. Here's what I'm thinking. If you will share that with somebody, sure enough, somebody's going to come back and say, remember that breakfast we had, the lunch we had, or when we got together that day 3 or 4 months ago, and you talked about those things? I've never forgotten that. In fact, I've started to make changes in my life already. You can't believe the feedback you'll get. Because see, part of the return is not just a room or some money or some percentages. Part of it is the thanks. You can't buy that with money. It doesn't matter how wealthy you are. You can only buy it by sharing. You can only earn it, rather, by sharing. And I go for that. I go for the stories. I probably get as much joy out of other people's success as I do my own. I take great joy in it. One of the reasons I do what I do, for that kind of experience of people who say, what you said made a difference for me. See, that's awesome. And guess how many of us can share our ideas? Everybody. You don't have to have a class of 200. You don't have to have a seminar of 1,000. Start with one. Let me tell you when I gave my first goal seminar. When I was 25 years old, I met Mr. Schoaf. One morning at breakfast, he asked me, let me see your current list of goals. So he gave me this little formula on goals. Work on your goals, write them down, consider the size and what kinds of goals so that they will affect you properly. He gave me this little goal formula that morning at breakfast. Guess when I shared it? At lunch. I got a hold of Charlie Garrett. I said, Charlie, let's have lunch. Charlie was a good friend of mine. We had a couple of projects going together. I said, Charlie, I've met this man. Let me tell you what's happening to me. He gave me this little formula for setting goals. I've never heard it before. I'm going to change my whole life. I get together with Charlie, and I show him all this. I said, Charlie, write this down, write this down, write this down. Let me show you what the man showed me. I said, I'm going to use it to change my life. And why don't we do it together? Let's do it together. You've been a clod just like me. As I recall now, that was my first attack. I said, hey, we've been poor together. We've been just, knocking around together. Now it's time. Let's get rich together. Charlie said, wow, that looks interesting. That was really when I first shared it. Was the day I heard it. I passed it along. It wasn't a seminar of 1,000 people. It was Charlie Garrett. And Charlie was a little startled by my enthusiasm and my excitement, but at least I shared it. So just share. You can't believe what will happen as far as your life and your lifestyle if you'll share. If you will change, everything will change for you. You don't have to change what's outside. All you've got to change is what's inside. To have more, you simply have to become more. Don't wish for less problems. Wish for more skills. Start working on yourself, making these personal changes. It'll all change for you. So let's talk a little bit about personal development. That extraordinary adventure I undertook starting at age 25. And I've never ceased that adventure. I want to get better and better. I want my craft to get better, my business operations to get better, the things I do to get better. Because once I picked up this simple formula, I'm telling you, it's easy to figure out where the problem is if you go to work on it. Learn to work harder on yourself than you do on your job. Once I got that, it turned my life around. Learn to work harder on yourself than you do on your job. If you work hard on yourself, you can make a fortune. Well, I was a hard worker, but I was working hard on my job, not on myself. And start this whole process of personal development. Work on yourself. Make yourself more valuable to the marketplace. I'm telling you, you can so dynamically change your income. And economics is the least of the values that you can start earning in terms of equity if you'll start working harder on yourself than you do on your job. Work hard on yourself and develop the skills. Work hard on yourself and develop the graces. All of the stuff necessary to become more valuable to the marketplace. I'm telling you, your whole life can explode into change. Promotions, no problem. Becoming more valuable to the company, I'm telling you, no problem. Money, no problem. Economics, no problem. Future, no problem. If you just go to work on the right thing. Not get things out there to change. Don't try to change the seed. Don't change the soil. Don't change the sunshine. Don't change the rain. Don't change the mix of seasons. Let the miracle of everything that's available work for you, and start working on the inside. Work on your philosophy. Work on your attitude. Work on your personality. Work on your language. Work on the gift of communication. Work on all of your abilities. And if you'll start making those personal changes, I'm telling you, everything will change for you.